Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Friday, September 10th, 2021. Football Friday, full-fledged, but today's podcast will start off with Major League Baseball and the WNBA, and we will look ahead to tonight and the weekend's games. Then we'll get into football. The reason why I just wanted to go in this order is because I wanted NFL and college back-to-back. And it wouldn't make sense for me to pick college games and then recap games from last night. So, yeah. And then after football, we'll do Major League Soccer, tennis, NASCAR, news and notes, and then my best bet and the Fab Five for the weekend. We'll start with baseball. We will zoom through the results from last night. And we will look ahead to tonight's and the weekend's games. So, last night, slate wasn't big at all. Cardinals over the Dodgers 2-1, A's over the White Sox 3-1, Indians over the Twins 4-1, Marlins over the Mets 3-2, Rocks over the Phils 4-3, Royals over the Orioles 6-0, Blue Jays over the Yankees 6-4, Braves over the Nats 7-6-10 on a walk-off single by Jock Peterson. All right, today's games at 2:20 of the Giants and the Cubs. We don't know who's going for San Fran, and Kyle Hendricks is going for Chicago. Line's not out yet, but I would look at the Cubs as a dog if they're a dog in this spot against the Giants. 6:30 Nats Pirates, Josiah Gray, Stephen Brault. We don't have lines out for that yet either. I'd assume Washington would be favored. So if the total's anything less than maybe 9, I'll consider the over. Rocks, Phils. Herman Marquez, even though he's going for the Phils. If that total's anything less than 9, that's an over too. Blue Jays, Orioles, Robbie Ray, Chris Ellis. Toronto minus 250, Baltimore plus 205, over under 10 minus 110 each way. Toronto minus 1/2 is minus 146. Orioles plus 1/2 is plus 122. I think the Jays are going to make the playoffs, by the way. I think they're playing really well. I'm going over 10 minus 110. Brewers, Indians, Adrian Hauser, Eli Morgan. Brewers minus 154, Indians plus 130, over on the 9, minus 110 each way. Brewers minus 1/2 is plus 106, Indians plus 1/2 is minus 128. I'm going over 9, minus 110. Yanks, Mets, Jordan Montgomery, Tyler McGill. Each team's minus 108, over under 8, overs minus 115, unders minus 105. Yanks plus or minus 1/2 is plus 150. Mets plus 1/2 is minus 182. I'm going Yankees money line. I just like the matchup of Jordan Montgomery at Citi Field and Ashley Park. Tyler McGill's fallen off a cliff since pitching pretty well for the Mets earlier on in the season. So I think the Yankees end the 6-game losing streak tonight against the Mets. Rays, Tigers. Michael Wacha and Matt Boyd. Rays minus 168. Detroit plus 140, over under 9. Overs minus 118, unders minus 104. Rays minus 1/2 is minus 108. Tigers plus 1/2 is minus 111. I'm going to take the Tigers run line plus 1/2 minus 111, only because I don't know if the Tigers will win, but I just think that they will be competitive like they've been in the second half of the season. 7:20 Marlins, Braves. Trevor Rogers, Ian Anderson, Braves minus 205, Marlins plus 172. Over under 8, overs minus 118, unders minus 104. Marlins plus 1/2 is minus 118. Braves minus 1/2 is minus 102. I'm going to go Braves run line, minus 1/2, minus 102. Angels, Astros. Shohei Ohtani, Framber Valdez. Astros minus 210, Angels plus 172, over under 8, overs minus 105, unders minus 115. Each team is minus 110 on the run line. Angels plus 1/2, Astros minus 1/2. I'm taking, guess what? I'm going to take a huge dog, a huge leap. I'm taking the Angels and the AL MVP frontrunner, Shohei Ohtani, and heck, even the Cy Young frontrunner too. You got to go with Ohtani because I think he's under a little pressure because, not as much now because the Yankees have been losing and Garrett Cole just got hurt. But yeah, Shohei Ohtani. Can't bet against them. Red Sox, White Sox. Tanner Houck, Carlos Rodon. White Sox minus 158. Red Sox plus 134. Over under 8. Overs minus 114. Unders minus 106. Red Sox plus 1.5 is minus 156. White Sox minus 1.5 is plus 130. I'm going over 8 minus 114. I just think that this is an over game. Royals Twins. Daniel Lynch, Griffin Jacks. Twins minus 118. Royals even money. Over under 9.5. Overs minus 115. Unders minus 105. Royals minus 1.5 is plus 155. Twins plus 1.5 is minus 188. The Royals have actually been playing good baseball lately. I'm going to take them even money to win outright. 8:15 Reds Cards. Tyler Mahle, John Lester. Reds minus 130. Cards plus 110. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 106. Unders minus 114. Reds minus 1.5 is plus 134. Cards plus 1.5 is minus 164. Tough one here. I'm going to go under 8.5 minus 114. Could be a 5-3 game. 9:30 Rangers A's. Glenn Otto, Paul Blackburn. Oakland minus 174. Texas plus 146. Over under 8.5 minus 110 each way. Rangers plus 1.5 is minus 130. Oakland minus 1.5 is plus 108. I'm going over 8.5 minus 110. I think Glenn Otto is due for some regression. D-backs Mariners at 10. Madison Bumgarner, Marco Gonzalez. No lines are up yet. But maybe I'll look at Zona with Madison Bumgarner on the bump to get the win outright on the road. And then Padres, Dodgers, Joe Musgrove and Julio Urias. Dodgers minus 164, Padres plus 138, over under 7.5. Overs minus 118, unders minus 104. Padres plus 1.5 is minus 160. Dodgers minus 1.5 is plus 132. I'm going to go over 7.5 minus 118 for the sole reason is because I think that number is too low. All right, Saturday, 2:20, Giants-Cubs from Wrigley Field. I'm trying to get the pitching matchup here. 4 o'clock Rangers A's. 4:30 doubleheader game 1 Blue Jays Orioles. 6 o'clock Rockies Phillies Brewers Indians Rays Tigers. 6:30 Nats Pirates. Pitching matchups are unloading, guys. Plus we have a lot to get to. 7 o'clock Angels Astros. Red Sox White Sox. Royals Twins. 7:15 Reds Cardinals. 7:20 Marlins Braves. 7:30 doubleheader game 2. It's a makeup game from July 8th. Blue Jays Orioles. And a big game on Fox. And it is a big game because the Mets still have a slight shot. They are 5 back in the division. Why not? You can't say they don't have a chance. This is a big game for both teams. Battle of New York. It's a personal game for both teams because it's the 20-year anniversary of 9/11. It's going to be an emotional game. I think they picked it at Citi Field because of the Piazza home run personally. Because that's the moment that stands out from 20 years ago, post 9/11 in baseball. In New York, it's just the most memorable moment post 9/11 for baseball. And then the Yankees were in the World Series that year, but they lost. But I think this might be the game the Mets win in this series, only because of like the 20-year anniversary of the Piazza home run, and I feel like the memories sit with them. Although the memories sit with the Yankees organization too, obviously, because they're in New York and they're in the World Series that year as well. George Bush threw out the first pitch in Game 3 in 2001. It won't surprise me who wins, but I feel like that's going to be the game. If the Mets, I think the Yankees probably win 2 out of 3. But if the Mets win a game in this series, I think it'll be tomorrow. 9 o'clock, the D-backs and the Mariners, and the Padres and the Dodgers. Sunday, 12 o'clock, Rays Tigers. 1 o'clock, Rocks Phils, Blue Jays O's, Nats Pirates, Brewers Indians. 1:20 Marlins Braves. 2 o'clock, Angels Astros, Red Sox White Sox, Royals Twins. 2:15 Reds Cardinals. 2:20 Giants Cubs. 4 o'clock Rangers A's, D-backs Mariners, Padres Dodgers, and Sunday Night Baseball. 8 o'clock Yankees Mets. So they're putting this in prime time, head to head, against the Bears Rams game, which I think is interesting. because I think they're taking the 9/11 thing because it's the day after the 9/11 anniversary. So that's why I think they picked that for Sunday Night Baseball. All right, now we'll move on to WNBA. We will go over the games from last night, or the game. I think it was one game last night. And look ahead to the weekend. Yeah, one game. Sun over the Sparks, 75-57. Tonight, 7 o'clock NBA TV, The Dream and the Mystics. 8 o'clock on Twitter, The Fever and the Lynx. Saturday, 8 o'clock, The Liberty and the Wings. That is a huge game. The Wings are a game ahead of the Liberty in the playoff standings. I mean, that is a big game. And then 10 o'clock, the Sun, the Mercury. That's another big game. And then Sunday, 3 o'clock on ABC, of the Mystics in the Sky. Actually, ratings-wise, going head-to-head with football. A lot of star power in that game, and we have news to get to regarding the Chicago Sky and news and notes, which we'll get to. NBA TV, Fever Lynx, and 9 o'clock NBA TV, the Storm and the Sparks. All right, now we'll move on and recap the NFL opener from last night. The Buccaneers defeat the Cowboys 31-29. The Bucs are 1-0. Dallas 0-1. Tom Brady, 32 of 50, 379 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 picks. But the 2 picks were kind of fluky. One of them was a Hail Mary at the end of the first half, and the other one was a ball that was deflected a couple times off the hands of receivers. So 2 fluke interceptions. So Tom Brady looked like Tom Brady. Dak Prescott, very encouraging. 42 of 58, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. He looked like he never tore his ACL. He looked really good. And normally, you don't come away from a loss feeling good. But you got to feel good if you're the Dallas Cowboys, right? Like, no Zach Martin, and you went out and almost won that game, and probably should have won that game outright. Greg Zuerlein cost him 4 points. He missed an extra point. Missed 2 field goals, but I don't count the one from 60. I mean, that's not really makeable. So, cost him 4 points, and that's the difference in the game. And sucks to be Greg Zuerlein today. Other than that, the Cowboys looked pretty good, especially on the offensive side of the ball. All right, we're going to move on to the picks. It should be exciting. First up, you have the Steelers at the Bills. I project the Bills by 9, total 50.45, and that's 6.5 and 48.5. The pick for the podcast, I'm going to lay the points of the Bills. Yes, TJ Watt signed his big money extension. We'll get to that in news and notes. But I just think the Bills with the packed house with fans, something they lacked last year, a full stadium of fans, are going to be rallying around this team, hooting and hollering. But the Steelers, I've got to give their fans credit. They travel a lot, the terrible towels, you see them everywhere. But this is going to be a ruckus Bills crowd. I really like the Bills laying the 6.5, and I have a big edge on Buffalo in this game and projection. Next up, you have the Jets and the Panthers. The Panthers are 3.5-point favorites. The total is 44.5. Meanwhile, I project 4.5 and 45.4. Meanwhile, by the way, this line went down from 5 to 3.5. I did have a slight edge on the Jets, and now I have an edge slightly on the Carolina Panthers, and it's a slight lean towards the Panthers, so I'm going to lay the 3.5 with Carolina. And I like the under a little bit as well. In terms of the final scores, the Steeler game, I'm going to say something along the lines of maybe 31-24, 30-23, 28-21. 28-21 feels right. Or 30-23. Something in that vicinity. And then the Jets-Panthers game, I think that's a close game. Like maybe like a 24-20 just feels absolutely perfect. Or 27-23. I think that'd be a little bit of a high total, but 24-20 makes a lot of sense. Actually, I have a slight edge on the over now in the Panthers-Jets game, which is crazy. Jaguars-Texans, my projection. Jaguars 7.5 total, 51.45. And it's 3-45.5. Big edge on the over, big edge on the Jags, but I'm taking the over for my play here for the show. The Cardinals and the Titans, I project the Titans as 6-point favorites, total 52.55. And it's 3-52.5. I love Tennessee laying the 3. I think they're really good. They're getting so much disrespect in the media for whatever reason. And the fact that people are looking at the Cardinals as a bounce-back team after they collapsed in the second half of last year. So I'm going to lay the 3 with Tennessee. I think that's a touchdown score as well, like a 30-23 type of game. Next up, the Eagles at the Falcons. I'm at Falcons by 3 total, 48-85. You know, it's 3-48.5. So I'm pretty much stuck. I'm taking the over, but it's a slight one. The Chargers and the Washington Professional Football Team, I project the Chargers by 1.5, total 47-1, and it's the football team by 1.5, total 44.5. So there's a line move. The Chargers are favored. Now the football team's favored. I'm taking the Chargers, getting the 1.5, and I'm taking them straight up at plus 104. And I also like the over in this game as well. But the podcast play Chargers plus 1.5. 49ers, Lions. I project 49ers by 7.5, total 51.95. And it's 8.5 and 44.5. I'm taking the over. I think that the 49er offense will roll. I think they might come close to doing this by themselves. So I could see this being like a 38-14 type of ball game. 38-13. Or something like that. And although I do have a slight edge on Detroit too, but I don't trust it. Seahawks, Colts. I project the Seahawks 1.5, total 51-3, and it's 3-48.5. I'm going with the over in this game. I think that both teams are going to be able to score a lot of points, especially the Seahawks. I think it'll be a competitive game. Doesn't that just scream push, that number? Or darn close to a push. I'm going to say it's like 27-26 or something like that. And I think Seattle wins. Next up is the Vikings at the Bengals. I project the Vikings by 4.5, total 51-25. Meanwhile, it's 3-46.5. I love the over. There's going to be a ton of points scored in this game. I know the number went down. It was 48. Now it's 46.5. I don't know what the heck happened. But I love the over in this game. I think the Vikings offense is going to go nuts. Bengals, I think, could score a little bit. I could see this being like a 30-20 Minnesota win or something like that. In the 4 o'clock window now, we have the Dolphins at the Patriots. I project the Patriots by 7.5, total 44-4. Meanwhile, it is 3-43.5. I'm laying the 3 with New England. Yes, they're starting a rookie. I understand that. But the reason why I'm laying the 3 points is because I think Belichick wants to kind of stick it to his former assistant. I think Belichick likes to stick it to his ex-staff members. And the huge mismatch in this game is the Miami offensive line, which has COVID problems right now, against the Patriots front seven. That is a mismatch, and that's why I think New England could potentially blow them out here. So I'm going to say that this may have blowout potential. I'm going to say, like, this game will be, like, 26-17 or something like that. Maybe 26-19, 27-17, something like that. 27-19. 27-19 feels right. This will have blowout potential, but I don't think it'll actually be a blowout. Browns Chiefs. My projection is Chiefs by 4 at 52-1. Meanwhile, it's 5.5 and 54.5. The funny thing is that the total went up and the line went down. This was 6.5, and I was ready to pick the Browns. And I wasn't leaning on a total. I have a 2-point edge on the under. An over 2-point edge on the under. I'm taking the under. I think that the Browns' running game will milk some clock, which factors into why I kind of like the under. I like the Browns too, but not as much because I have a less than 2-point edge on them now. But I really do like the under. I can make the under 54.5 as the podcast play. Broncos Giants. The Broncos are favored by 3 totals, 41.5. Meanwhile, I project Denver 1.5 total, 43.95. So this was 2.5. It went up to 3. So anybody that is willing to bet on Big Blue can take the field goal, which won't be my pick. I actually like the over. Yeah, these are 2 really good defenses, but could you just totally see there being like a pick 6 that pushes the total? Like, could you just totally see like a pick 6 or a fumble return for touchdown by Denver, or a Giants special teams touchdown maybe? Maybe Teddy Bridgewater throws a pick 6. Who knows? I think both Daniel Jones and Teddy Bridgewater are capable of throwing like pick 6s, and both teams, especially the Giants with the special teams guy and Joe Judge, capable of scoring a defensive or special teams touchdown. So with that in mind, I really like the over, and I have an edge on the over, and I have a slight edge on the Giants, but I'm not pulling that trigger. Packers Saints in Jacksonville. My projection is Green Bay by 6.5. Total 52-35. If the Saints were playing in this game in New Orleans, it would have been 3.5. But I'm sorry, it's a neutral site game. And the actual line is 3.5 and 49.5. The game is not in New Orleans. I'm sorry. It's just not. I'm laying it with the Packers. This was 4.5. Now it's 3.5. I love Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in this spot. There's going to be so many Packer fans at this game. It's going to be crazy. And I also have a less than 3-point edge on the over as well, but the podcast play will be the Packers. Sunday Night Football, the Bears at the Rams. I project the Rams by 13.5, total 44. Meanwhile, it's 7.5 and 46.5. I'm laying it with the Rams. Love the Rams. I think they're going to be a great regular season team. I think the Bears are terrible. Their coach could be the first one fired. So I'm going to lay it with the Rams. In terms of final scores for the 4 o'clock games, Browns-Chiefs, I could see that being like a 30-24 would make sense, but I could see it being 30, like, maybe, like, 28-24 makes some sense in that game. I threw out a final score projection for the Patriot game or a thought. Packers-Saints, I think the Packers can win that game by 7. I could see that game being, like, 30-24. And then the Giants-Broncos game, I think that... Doesn't that have 17-16 written all over it? And I think Denver probably wins the game. That's another mismatch. We talked about how the Dolphins' offensive line is just super inferior to the Patriots' pass rush. the same thing can be said with the Giants' offensive line to the Denver pass rush. The Denver pass rush is far superior to the Giants' offensive line. That's why I think Denver wins that game ultimately. In the trenches, and same for the Patriots-Dolphins. Similar, very similar. And then Monday Night Football, we'll pick on the Monday podcast. Alrighty, now we will move on to college football, as I will do the picks here. Right, so tonight you have Kansas and Coastal Carolina. I project Kansas by 21, total for, or I'm sorry, not Kansas 21, Coastal by 21, total 48.5. Meanwhile, it's 25.5 and 52.5. I'm going to throw up at this pick, but I'm going to take Kansas as the podcast pick, plus the 25.5. And I actually do like the under as well. North Carolina A&T against Duke. I project Duke by 22.5, total 53. Meanwhile, it is 18.5, total 55.5. I'm going to lay the points with Duke here as the podcast play. North Dakota, Utah State. I project Utah State by 8, total 49. Meanwhile, it is Utah State by 7.5, total 51.5. I'm going to go under in this spot. That's where the edge lies. Next up is UTEP against Boise State. I project Boise 9.5, total 58.25. Meanwhile, this makes me scratch my head a little bit in terms of a line, which is beyond me. So hang on a second, guys. Sorry, guys, wrong projection. 18.5 and 58.25. That sounds better. But Boise's giving 25.5, total 56.5. I'm going to take UTEP for the pick. Next up, Illinois and Virginia. Saturday, 11 o'clock. I project Virginia 16, total 51.25. Meanwhile, it's 10.5 and 56.5. I love Virginia in this spot. And I also do like the under, too. But Virginia's going to be the podcast play. 11:30, Western Kentucky against Army. I project Army 9, total 66.5. Meanwhile, it's 5.5 and 51.5. Whoa. Over's a lock, man. That is a complete lock. I love the over there. And I also like Army as well, but not as much as the over. Over's the podcast play here. VMI and Kent State. I project Kent State 14.5, total of 60. I'm going to check quickly to see if DraftKings has that game. They don't at the moment. Sorry guys. Oregon, Ohio State. I project the Buckeyes by 9, total 65.5. Meanwhile, it's 14.5 and 63.5. I'm taking Oregon the points. Getting Oregon over 2 touchdowns, I really like it. day game, not a night game at the Horseshoe. So that's good for Oregon, in my opinion. Bama State and Auburn, we don't have... I don't think we have any of the FCS, FBS lines for Saturday yet. But I'll just go over my projections. 37.5 and 48.5. South Carolina, East Carolina, now in the 12 o'clock window. I project South Carolina 7.5, total 49 minutes, 2.5 and 56.5. Oh my God. Big edge on the under, big edge on Carolina. I'm going to go under as the podcast play, and I also like South Carolina. Pitt against Tennessee. I project Tennessee 6, total 51. And I know Pitt's favored. And they're favored by 3.5. And the total is 56.5. I'm taking Tennessee and the points. And I'd like them plus 132 to win outright as well. Kennesaw State, Georgia Tech, I project Tech 13, total 51.5. Norfolk State, Wake, I project Wake 13, total 55.5. Youngstown State, Michigan State, I project 35.5, total 72. Miami of Ohio, Minnesota, I project Minnesota 18, total 69.5. Meanwhile, it is 19.5 and 53.5. Oh my Lord, I love the over. Wow. Indiana State, Northwestern, I project Northwestern 48, total 53. Tulsa, Oklahoma State, I project Oklahoma State by 13.5, total 37.5. Meanwhile, it's 12.5 and 51.5. I love the under here. Love it. Next up, Florida and South Florida. South Florida's home. I project the Gators 25.5. Total 47. Meanwhile, it's 28.5 and 58.5. I'm taking the under. Next up, Morgan State, Tulane. I project Tulane 45.5, total 53. Wyoming, Northern Illinois. Now we're in the 1 o'clock window. Florida, South Florida, by the way, is a 1 o'clock game. Wyoming, Northern Illinois is 1:30. I project Wyoming 15, total 39. Meanwhile, it's 6.5 and 44.5. I'm going to lay the points with Wyoming here. Let down for Northern Illinois after their big upset win last week. Middle Tennessee and Virginia Tech at 2 o'clock. I project Tech 15, total 46. Meanwhile, it's Tech 19.5. Total of 54.5. Don't forget, they're ranked now. I'm going to take the under again for this game. Rutgers, Syracuse. I project this as a pick in 56.5. Meanwhile, I just have to check here because FanDuel DraftKings obviously don't have it available in New Jersey because it's Rutgers. Let's see here. Rutgers is 2.5. And I can't find a total anymore. Need to find that total somewhere. The total is 52. I love the over in this game. I think Rutgers' offense has been really good. I think they're going to score a lot of points. Duquesne and Ohio, I project Ohio 8.5, total 43. Toledo, Notre Dame, I project Notre Dame 12, total 69. Meanwhile, it is 16.5 and 55.5. I'm in love with the over here. That's a 2:30 game. 3 o'clock, Purdue, UConn, I project Purdue 17.5, total 53.25. Meanwhile, it's Purdue 34.5, total 57.5. Get ready to throw up, guys. I'm picking UConn in the points. Just to cover. New coach. They'll play hard. This is another 3 o'clock game. Robert Morris, Central Michigan. I have Central Michigan 46, total 58.5. 3:30, ESPN 2, UAB number 2, Georgia. I project Georgia by 21. And the total of a low number of 22. That's because it combines the scores. I know it does feel inaccurate, though. And meanwhile, it is Georgia 24.5, total 45.5. I'm taking the under. Fifth ranked Texas A&M at Colorado. I project A&M by 12, total 46.5. Meanwhile, 16.5, total 50.5. I'm going Colorado in the points for this one. Murray State against number 7 Cincinnati. I project Cincinnati 17.5, total 49. I don't think that total or that line is out yet either. Ball State against number 11 Penn State. I project Penn State by 9, total 39. Meanwhile, it's 22.5 and 57.5. Another under. I could see Penn State winning 45-10. Something along those lines. Georgia Southern, Florida Atlantic. I project FAU 13.5, total 52. Meanwhile, it is 6.5 and 47.5. I love FAU in this spot. Next up, Boston College against UMass. I project BC 19.5, total 60. Meanwhile, it's 37.5 and 58.5. I'm taking UMass in the points, just the cover. Buffalo, Nebraska is an interesting game. I think that is a very interesting game. I project Buffalo 1, total 65-75. Meanwhile, it's Nebraska 13.5, total 54.5. I love Buffalo here. Not only do I love Buffalo, but I'm taking them to win straight up. Plus 440 on the money line. Cal and TCU. I project TCU 10.5, total 43.5. Game's on ESPNU, and it's 11.5, 47.5. I'm going under in this one, too. The worst game of the season, perhaps, Temple Akron. I project Temple 6, total 72.5. Meanwhile, it's Temple 6.5, total 53.5. I'm taking the over. Air Force Navy, I project Air Force 13.5, total 52.5. Meanwhile, it's 5.5 and 40.5. I like the over. And I also like Air Force, but I like the over so much better than Air Force because rivalry game too. All right, 4 o'clock, number 1, Alabama hosting Mercer. I project Bama by 55.5, total 63. Nothing's out yet for that one. South Alabama Bowling Green. I project South Alabama by 1.5, total 41. Meanwhile, it's 13.5 and 48.5. I'm taking Bowling Green in the points here, but obviously they won't win. I just think that's a high number for South Alabama to be laying. 4:30, ABC, Iowa at Iowa State. Ames, game day's there. I project Iowa State by 6, total 33. Meanwhile, it is 4.5 and 46.5. I'm taking, yet again, another under. Five o'clock, SC State at number 6, Clemson. I project Clemson 25.5, total 48. LIU, West Virginia. I project West Virginia 46.5, total 56. Illinois State, Western Michigan. I project Illinois State 37, total 58.5. 6 o'clock, Gardner-Webb, Charlotte. I project Charlotte 33, total 57. Lamar, UTSA. I project UTSA 50.5, total 58.5. Portland State, Washington State. I have Washington State 34.5, total 66.5. 6:30, NC Central and Marshall. I project Marshall 22.5, total 46.5. And on CBS Sports Network, Houston Rice. I project this amazingly enough as a pick'em total of 57. Meanwhile, it's 8.5 and 52.5. Pick'em 57, 8.5, 52.5. I'm taking Rice in the points. No, I don't think they'll actually win, but I just think that they'll cover the number at home. Bethune-Cookman, UCF. I project UCF by 61, total 66.5. 7 o'clock, Western Carolina at number 4, Oklahoma. I project Oklahoma by 72, total 67. I know that just totally didn't make sense. But maybe I can give them extra tax points because it's Oklahoma. That's just a crazy number and a crazy total that literally makes 0 sense. On ESPN, number 15, Texas at Arkansas. My projection is Texas 6, total 55.5, meanwhile 7.5 and 56.5. Close. This is probably like the closest one so far. I'm going to take Arkansas on the points. That's a slight edge, but don't feel great about it. Like I said, anything less than 2 for me is a slight. Fox Sports 1, Eastern Michigan at number 18, Wisconsin. I project Wisconsin by 22.5, total 38. Meanwhile, it's 26.5 and 52.5. Another under for the Madison Miller podcast today. App State, Miami on ESPN, number 22, Miami. I project Miami 4.5, total 54.5. Meanwhile, it's 8.5 and 54.5, so the total's dead on. I'm taking App B in the points. Not to win, but just to cover. App State's a good team. ESPN2, NC State, Mississippi State. I have NC State 6, total of 57. Meanwhile, it's NC State 1.5, total 55.5. I'm laying the 1.5 with NC State. Texas State FIU. I project FIU 4.5, total 53.5. Meanwhile, it's 1.5 and 55.5. I'm laying the 1.5 with FIU. Southeast Louisiana against Louisiana Tech. I have La Tech 7, total 73. North Texas SMU. I have SMU by 9, total 61.5. Meanwhile, it's 22.5 and 73.5. I'm taking North Texas in the point just to cover, not the win. Liberty and Troy. I project Liberty 9, total 56.5. Meanwhile, it is 4.5 and 61.5. I don't feel super about this either, but yet again, I'm going to go with another under. And I also like Liberty, too. Hampton Old Dominion. I have Old Dom 31, total 61. Grambling Southern Miss. I have Southern Miss 22, total 32. Eastern Kentucky Louisville. I have Louisville 25, total 63. Texas Southern Baylor at 54 for Baylor and 53 is the total. Again, makes no sense. Southern Illinois, Kansas State. I have Kansas State 19.5, total 49.5. Stephen F. Austin, Texas Tech. I have 19.5 and 44.5. Memphis, Arkansas State. I have Memphis 6, total 60. Meanwhile, 55.5, total 64.5. Again, I'm going with the Memphis under. Nichols, Louisiana. I have Louisiana 24.5, total 57.5. Mexico State, New Mexico. I project Mexico 11.5, total 39.75. Meanwhile, it's 19.5 and 56.5. I'm taking the under again. 7:30 Austin P against number 20 Ole Miss. Meanwhile, Ole Miss is 16.5, totals 58.5. Georgia State against number 24 North Carolina. I project UNC 21, total of 40. Meanwhile, 25.5 and 65.5 under. SEC Network, Missouri, Kentucky. I project Kentucky by 9, total 56.5. Meanwhile, it's 5.5 and 55.5. I'm going to lay the 5.5 with Kentucky. Big Ten Network, Idaho, Indiana. I project Indiana 32, total 54. Big Ten Network, Howard, Maryland. I project Maryland 38, total 53. 8 o'clock, McNeese, LSU. I project LSU 40.5, total 71.5. Jacksonville State, Florida State. I like Florida State 12.5, total 55. ABC, 8 o'clock tonight, Washington, Michigan. I project Washington by 4.5, total 40.5. Meanwhile, it is Michigan by 6.5, and the total is 48.5. I'm taking Washington plus the 6.5, and I'm taking them straight up at plus 220. $10 o'clock, CBS Sports Network, Vandy and Colorado State. I project Cal State by 6, total 45.5. Meanwhile, it's Cal State 6.5, total 51.5. Going with another under. Pac-12 Network, San Diego State, Arizona. I project San Diego State 16.5, total 39. Meanwhile, it's Arizona 1.5, total 46.5. What in the world? In God's name. I'm sorry. Arizona should not be favored in this game. Give me San Diego State. And the 1.5. And plus 106 on the money line. Or is that a Vegas nose game? 10:15 ESPN, number 21 Utah at BYU. I project this as a pick in 48.5. Now it's 7.5 in total, 49.5. I'm going BYU again. I have to. Will they win the game? Probably not, but I'll take the 7.5. Give it to me. 10:30 on Fox, a late game for Fox. Stanford against number 14 USC. I project USC 16.5, total 34. Meanwhile, 17.5, total 53.5, under. ESPN 2, UNLV against number 23, Arizona State. I project Zona State 28.5, total 61.5. Meanwhile, it is 34.5 and 54.5. So 7 and 6. So going with the over. Actually taking an over for once on the show tonight, or today. 10:30, Idaho State, Nevada. I have Nevada 47, total 44. And last but not least, 11 o'clock on Fox Sports 1, Hawaii and Oregon State. I project Oregon State by 2, total 52.5. Meanwhile, it's 10.5 and 64.5. Again, I have to go with another under on the show for college football. It's because all these totals that I made are so out of whack. All right, Major League Soccer for the weekend. I'm just going to zoom through the games, not going to pick them. Just going to zoom through them like it's a race car. So, without further ado, here we go. Tonight, 7 o'clock, Atlanta, Orlando, 10 o'clock, Vancouver, Portland. Saturday, 3:30, Colorado, LA Galaxy, 5 o'clock, Seattle, Minnesota, 7 o'clock, New England, NYCFC, Red Bulls, DC United, 8 o'clock, Club Football Montreal, Nashville, Cincinnati, Toronto, Miami, Columbus, 8:30, Dallas, San Jose, Houston, Austin, and Kansas City, Chicago. And on Sunday, 10:30 at night, you have LAFC and Salt Lake. Now I'm going to do tennis. I will go over the U.S. Open women's semifinal results from yesterday. Look ahead to the men's semifinals and predict who will ultimately win these Grand Slams on each side. Wow. Emma Raducanu over Marissa Kari in 2, and Leylah Fernandez over Arina Sablenka in 3. And then today at 3 o'clock, you have 12 seed Felix Auger-Aliassime and 2 seed Daniil Medvedev. I'm going to go with Medvedev in 4 to advance. And then 7 o'clock, you have Novak Djokovic and Alexander Zverev. I'm going to go Djokovic in 4. Women's final, 420, you have two Cinderellas, Emma Raducanu and Leylah Fernandez. I'm going to go Emma Raducanu in 2. I think she's been fabulous in this tournament. And on the other side, you would have Djokovic and Medvedev, and I'm going to go Djokovic in 4 on Sunday to win the men's side of the Grand Slam. NASCAR for the day. I'm just not going to go over the starting lineups because we don't have a lot of time. So I'm going to do blindly pick the races on DraftKings. It's just Xfinity and Cup this weekend. The Go Bowling 250 tomorrow for the Xfinity. I'm going to go with Justin Haley at 12-1 to win that one. I haven't went with Justin Haley in a while. He won a race a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to go Justin Haley 12-1 to win the Go Bowling 250. And the Cup, it's the Federated Auto Parts 400 Salute to First Responders. And I'm going to go... How's Chris Bell 15-1? That's the most overvalued NASCAR play I've seen in a long time. I'm going to go with... Let's go with Ryan Blaney 20-1 to win the race on Sunday afternoon. All right, news and notes time. It's going to be quick here because I still have to get the best bet Fab 5. Cam Newton talks about being released by New England, and he says that he was absolutely surprised to be cut and doesn't think that the COVID absence was main factor, as it shouldn't be. He was just flat out beat out by Mac Jones, plain and simple. And then Bill Belichick says it. I called out Greg Zuerlein earlier on the podcast saying that he was the scapegoat for the Dallas Cowboys, and he rightfully takes the blame for their heartbreaking loss last night against the Bucs in a game which they probably should have won. Dak Prescott to Tom Brady. See y'all again. So that's pretty cool. Bradley Roby was traded, obviously, yesterday from the Texans to the Saints, and the Texans get a 2022 third-round pick and a 2023 conditional pick from New Orleans. The Ravens lost Gus Edwards and Marcus Peters to torn ACL, so they're out for the season. Boy, am I somewhat regretting my Ravens playoff pick now. I actually think there's a chance the Steelers are the last playoff team in that division instead of the Ravens now. I might actually, I know I can't go back and change my predictions, but if these two injuries happen on Wednesday instead of Thursday, I would have put the Steelers in instead of the Ravens. But now I actually think that Pittsburgh might actually make the playoffs instead of the Ravens. I just have... Or Denver. It's either going to be Denver or the Steelers in that spot. I don't think the Ravens are going to make the playoffs now with all these injuries. It's going to be one of those two teams. If I had to guess, it's probably Pittsburgh because I just think that they have more upside than the Broncos. And speaking of the Steelers, T.J. Watt finally gets paid 4 years, $112 million, and now he's the highest paid defensive player in the league. Elena Delle Donne's season in limbo as she's dealing with her back injury. That would be a big loss for the Mystics. Something funny last night, Ed Sheeran was in the same booth as Roger Goodell last night in the game, and Twitter was having a field day. So it was fun to see one of pop culture's biggest stars and music's biggest stars attending the first football game of the season. There's a slim chance of a Jacob deGrom return, as he has an outside chance. I don't think he should. The Mets are too far back. But if they get within 3, let's say they sweep the Yankees, gain a couple games on Atlanta, then you think about bringing back deGrom. Major League Baseball denies Hunter Renfroe's claim it told the Red Sox to stop testing players for COVID-19 on mid-outbreak. So, we'll see if there's more to this. Shaq and Charles Barkley call out Ben Simmons on their podcast. You ain't that damn good. Well, they're right. He ain't that damn good. He's made out to be that damn good because he was the number 1 overall pick and was a highly regarded prospect in high school. And he really, sometimes he shows flashes, but he never really has put it all together. And plus, it's Joel Embiid's team, not Ben Simmons' team. Olympic gold medalist Gable Stevenson signs with WWE. Exclusive NIL deal and will still defend title at Minnesota. And the last one is that Freddie Freeman and Braves talks stall in terms of extension talks. And it could force Freeman to hit free agency, but both sides want to still get a deal done. That is something to keep an eye on. That has not been talked about at all this season, the fact that Freddie Freeman's in a contract year. But just keep an eye on that one. Okay, last but not least, my best bet of the day. Brought to you by FanDuel, and then I'm going to do Fab 5 after. So, best bet today. I'm thinking maybe college football. For the play. But I'm not going to go there. The Yankees just jumped out to a huge favorite, by the way, against the Mets. I gave out minus 108. They're now minus 124. I do like the over 9 in Milwaukee, Cleveland. But I don't know if I want to actually pull the trigger there. But because their offense has been so good, it went down to 9.5. I'm going to lay a unit on over 9.5 between the Blue Jays and the Orioles. All right, Fab 5 time. College football first. The first pick of the Fab 5 that just stood out to me. I lay a unit on every game that I pick. There's a lot of dogs that stood out to me this weekend. And one of them that I really love is Buffalo. Plus the 13.5. So there's my first of the Fab 5. Buffalo, 13.5 against Nebraska. The second of the Fab 5, I'm going to take another dog. I'm going to take Washington, 6.5 at even money. I don't like that I'm getting under a touchdown, but I still like Washington a lot in that spot. I'm betting against Arizona again. I'm going to take San Diego State, getting 1.5 against Arizona. And I'm going to take for the second week in a row, I'm debating BYU, but I'm not going to do that. There's a favorite I really liked too that I wanted to lay points with. I'm going to lay it with Wyoming. That's the favorite I'm going to lay points with. Letdown spot for Northern Illinois. And I think that Wyoming is going to improve from last week to this week. So that's 4. And then the 5th pick, I'm going to go with the total. Over 55.5, Toledo and Notre Dame. And the money line pick of the week for college football is going to be the Buffalo Bulls plus 440. I'm doing it. I'm laying a unit on Buffalo money line. So a huge dog as the money line pick of the week. And then NFL Fab 5. So NFL Fab 5, so want to know what the picks this year so far with the Cowboys giving me the cover. So let me first do the Fab 5 for the NFL. I'm going to lay points with the Tennessee Titans minus the 3 against the Cardinals. I just think that they're better than Arizona. A lot of pressure on Arizona. I think people are underestimating the Titans a little bit in this spot. The next one, I'm going to lay 3 with the New England Patriots against the Dolphins. I mentioned that the trenches battle, New England's just so much better in that department. So I'm going to lay the 3 with New England. The next Fab 5 play, I'm going to lay points with the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football, minus 7.5 against the Bears. So that's 3. And next pick, I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers minus 3.5 against the Saints. And the last one, I'm going to go with the total. And the total that I'm going to pick is over I'm debating on 2 totals, by the way, guys. I'm going to go over 44.5 in the 49ers-Lions game. Or no, it went up to 45, darn it. So now it's yeah, I'll probably still go with it. So going over 45 with the 49ers and the Lions. And the money line pick of the week for the NFL is a short dog. Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to lay a unit on plus 104 with the Chargers. So, for once, my money line pick of the week is not an against the spread. I'm just going Chargers straight up. Just over even money. Plus 104. against the Washington professional football team. All right, so that's it. Long show today. That's what Friday shows are going to be for the next couple months, especially in the winter with college basketball. Oh my God, November Friday shows are going to be mammoth. So that's it for today. I'll be back on Monday recapping NFL, college football, Major League Baseball, WNBA, MLS, tennis, and NASCAR from the weekend. And we will look ahead to the games being played on Monday. Maybe I'll have an activity. Maybe I won't. And obviously news and notes and best bet as well. Hope you guys have a great weekend, everyone.